And good evening, everyone.
Good evening. How's everybody
How
doing?
are you all doing? So good to see you all. I'm guessing with all the waves and everything that you can hear us, so that is great. So welcome and thank you so much for joining us on our on-cue interview at Center Stage. My name is Daniela Crankshaw and I am the co-founder and artistic director of Center Stage.
Hi, my name is Grant Crankshaw. I'm the other co-founder.
Yes, I think so.
And her other half. So let me kick off this evening. Getting any business started is a lot of work and investment. And our little theatre is no different. If you've not heard, we were sort of opening up just before everything shut down a little way back. So many of you know that Dan and I are both lucky enough to have fallen back on our old professions while still running the theatre and doing stuff like this. Thank you, Daniela.
Thank you, Grant, because you're doing most of the work.
So like so many parents, we were also told, you know, do something as a backup, you know, have something to fall back on. So we are being reminded of that at this stage. Acting is not a career that is known for its success rate. So right now, my second job is that of a handyman. And it is a far more interesting business lately than you would have thought. I'm talking about how clients adhere to regulations. Now, I love my level 4 clients. Everything's handled over WhatsApp. They leave a key, the instructions, or everything's sent. The instructions come as this: please fix everything, just don't touch anything, or breathe in the house while you're there. So things are taking forever. My level 3 clients are only slightly more paranoid. They stay at home, they hide in the one room and yell instructions through the door. Things like, it's the chook chick on the what's its name, it's the thingamajig on the doodah, can you repair it, is it leaking, are they very expensive? Okay, please fix it, but don't touch anything. Are you wearing gloves and a mask? It's a little tiresome. Level 2 clients are normal people. I'm sorry, I forgot my mask again, but you don't mind, this is my home. May I breathe all over you and spew germs while you work? I don't mind that too. The really good ones are the level 1 clients. This is now the nutty category. Crazy, militant anti-vaxxers. If you wear a mask walking into the house, it starts like this: take that stupid thing off, stop insulting me wearing that pathetic excuse for protection. It serves no function. COVID is only a smoke and mirrors, an international conspiracy started by the Chinese, organized by Black Lives Matter, scripted by Netflix, funded by billionaire communists who recently arrived from Mars to commandeer our planet Earth. Take it off and give me a hug. And the customers are always right, remember? So I'm a little tired of the roadblocks and things, and I'm planning to reduce my traveling. So I'm going to be training very soon as a Reiki handyman. Holistic home repairs, we're calling it. Very simple system. I sit at home and let's go for an example here. Mrs. Greenberg. Right, let's focus together. Let's focus our energies now on your kitchen faucet. Deep breath in and remember, Mrs. Greenberg, the faucet has to want to be repaired. Is the leak slowing? Just keep umming. The bill's in the post. That's handymanning today.
Okay, so what's up at Center Stage? Well, we're calling this our week of preparation because they have said we can open up. They gave us all of a week's, not even a week's notice, a few days notice, and expect us to just be ready, but we can't do that. So we have planned a full month for you, and I'm going to share some things with you. And of course, this thing's going to start playing again as it does every week. Okay, there we go. You see, March is going to be pretty full with live music, stand-up comedy, poetry slams, pub quizzes, and more. So that's a brief look at the month. We're also opening our youth theatre again. So if you have kids or grandkids who have that dramatic flair, send them to this program. Yep, sign them up. It's a lot of fun for the kids from preschool to high school.
We're also gearing up for Shards, putting the pieces together by Evan Kent. Those shows will be Wednesday 17th and 24th with real people in the real seats. And please book those now and we'll arrange for your arrival times to be staggered.
We'll also be doing it live.
It'll also be on Zoom, so if you just can't get out of the house, we'll understand, and you can watch it on Zoom.
Live, absolutely.
Live.
And also, of course, our date for our live music program, Endings and Beginnings, on the 21st of March. And that is with a live audience. Yay! Tickets are on sale for that too, and it'll be available via Zoom if you can't attend in person.
For those attending in person, you'll need to show your green passport and ID, confirmation of a negative test 48 hours prior to the show, or documentation that you have recovered from COVID. Them are the rules, folks, and it is the price we have to pay to see live theatre once again. Not a bad price.
Not a bad price at all. Now, many people say that the economic recovery is more important than culture right now, but
the truth is you cannot have recovery without culture. We'll be announcing a crowdfunding campaign soon to help us open our doors again after this year of closure. For those of you unfamiliar with crowdfunding, it's simply a great way for us to reward your support and keep the fund going. So we're hoping to sign up a minimum of 100 people who we need to be our starters in supporting the project, whether by giving 50 shekels or by sharing it with their friends. Please drop us a line if you're keen when we make the announcement. Thank you in advance so much for your continuous support.
And as always, we are committed to keeping you involved, entertained, and connected. We say this all the time. So stay up to date with all the events that are happening by following us on Facebook. I know, I just made up a whole new sort of social media thing. Pagebook, yes. And sign up on our website for the newsletter and you will never miss out on a thing. And now it is my pleasure to offer a very warm welcome, a center stage welcome to our guests this week. Let me just
lock them in
so I can add a spotlight here for Neil and for Abram. So say hi, everyone,
welcome,
to these
guys.
Wonderful guys. Welcome. And we are going to start off with Neil. So Abram, we're going to see you a little bit later. We'll bring you in. And so stand by. Absolutely. Neil, how are you? So good to have you with us.
Hey, Neil.
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good, I'm pleased. Now, the truth is that we met Neil a long time ago for some show that had to do with Picasso and Elvis and Einstein. And remind me what that was, Neil.
Picasso with the La Panagile. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name. Not the best with languages. But yes, you, Grant, and I and Amber met at a cafe. I believe it was at the junction in Herzliya Petuach.
Yes.
And had lunch there.
That's right. We had lunch there and we were talking about potentially bringing that show to Renana. This was even before Center Stage was a thing. We were already thinking of these grandiose plans in our head.
It's muted.
In fact,
Upper left.
Upper left.
Your left.
That's good. People are just trying to get in and hear it all. So we actually got to know you a lot better. That's okay. It's all good. We got to know you better when Rebecca Flanders brought you in to Center Stage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instrumental in helping us set up the lighting in our theater.
Yeah.
And you went on to design the lighting for Bad Jews and advisors and all the others we had. You are truly a lighting guru, and you've accumulated so much knowledge and experience in that field that it's actually quite scary.
I think you just called Neil a lighting guru.
He is. He's called the lighting guru.
Oh my God. So can you please mute my family? Seriously, that's who's talking right now. Hello, Uncle Bob. Thank you for joining as well. It's good to hear your voice.
Joining, and everyone has.
And Mom and Dad. Okay.
I love it. It's all good. You'll have the chance to say something at the end, so not to worry. So yes, and I just did call Neil the lighting guru, and that is like the best description that I can possibly find, because what Neil knows is scary.
Yeah.
But let's start at the beginning. Right.
Correct.
So where are you from and where did you grow up?
I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and then went to Phoenix for college, and then after Phoenix came to Israel. So
okay,
the short answer.
We're going to go into a little bit of that as well. So Ohio, you got into
Video
you started a degree BA in video
game design.
video game
Yeah.
design from the University of Advancing Technologies, and then you went on to study at the Academy of Production Technology. Now, how did that switch happen from video game design to theater and live productions?
There wasn't a switch. It was a switch to film. So when I was growing up, my sister and I used to do these little performances for my mother and father and whoever would actually watch a 4 and 5-year-old perform for them. And I eventually, when I was in high school, I was actually part of the drama club, and I was assisting in a technical role for our theatrical shows that were run by Sheila Heyman. And that's where I learned this is kind of cool. So I've actually been into theater way longer than I've actually been into film. And it was not even just, I won't go too far down that rabbit hole, but actually the Academy of Production Technology, I actually was learning, that's a very specific technical side of production life. And that I started learning after I came to Israel.
Okay. So you said you went to drama school now, but you got
Drama club.
The drama club. I'm sorry, the drama club. And you were more interested, were you more interested in the production and technical side of things?
Yeah, like even when like we didn't even have any technical things to do, I would just sit and watch rehearsals. I would go and help out with some of the prop stuff if they needed it. I remember one time we were doing The Odd Couple, and during the show, one of the chairs in the chair in the living room was a lazy boy. The seat fell out of the bottom. So in the middle of the show, we had no chair. And during intermission, we didn't know what to do. During intermission, I found in the props room, we had one of these those gigantic stuffed animals you can win at amusement parks?
Yeah.
Well, I grabbed that thing, I ripped out some of the guts from the chair, and then shoved that gigantic stuffed animal and put the pillow on top of it, and then the actors could sit down without falling into the chair.
And that is why people who study drama are so good at improvising and can deal with stuff, man. I love that. I love that. So,
where did your passion for lighting come from? Why the
specifically lighting.
Yeah.
Specifically lighting? I didn't want to do lighting at first, actually. I was doing a little bit with lighting, but when I came to Israel and a little bit before that, but I really wanted to do art. I wanted to be an art director. I was studying hair, makeup, wardrobe, set design, set props, just a ton of stuff. I was even volunteering with, when I was in Scottsdale Community College, I was for continuing education in film, I would in my spare time go and volunteer in the art department to do set construction. Wow. I absolutely wanted to do be an art director, but I was offered a job as a lighting technician at Herzliya Studios.
Before we go into that, so how did you come to Israel? What sort of prompted that?
I wanted a break from life in America. I wanted to do I wanted two things. I wanted to get out of America, just with everything that was going on. I'd finished school. I wasn't dependent on really anything. And I wanted to go do an internship in film or something relevant to that somewhere abroad that wasn't the States. And I looked in a lot of countries. And eventually wound up coming to Israel.
Amazing. Okay. So, once you arrived in Israel, did you get the job immediately, or was it a bit of a struggle beforehand?
Yes and no. I was doing an internship program with Masa
Right.
in Destination Israel, and I was really not enthusiastic about what I was doing, so I emailed like 40 different executives. I just looked up production companies in Israel and just sent over emails in my resume, unsolicited. Not the best way to do it, but I will say this: Itai Baziv, he was the operations manager at Herzliya
Right.
Studios at the time. He got back to me, and he scheduled with me an interview that I took the wrong bus to. I took a bus, the 90, to the Herzliya Petuach instead of Merkaz Herzliya. I walked in July from
Oh,
Herzliya Petuach in a dress shirt.
oh my goodness.
I got there a half hour late, covered in sweat, and he still interviewed me. Gave me his time. And he wound up offering me employment and helping me out with my visa and getting me insurance to work at this job, even though I wasn't a citizen yet.
Amazing.
Nice.
Now, during your time at United Studios, you worked on projects which everyone knows here, such as X Factor, The Voice, Eurovision, EuroLeague football. So fill us in on that experience, what that whole sort of, I think it was 4 years that you were with them.
Yes, but some of those productions were after. So
Oh,
we'll start with my first day on set was with Nickelodeon, and I couldn't speak a word of Hebrew. I didn't know what was being told to me. I had some people in English translate to me in English. I was just happy to be there. Uh, I eventually worked on shows like Eretz Nehederet, Mitzvah Uma, and met some really great lighting designers that I've worked with over the past few years as a technician for them on shows such as X Factor and The Voice, Big Brother, Master Chef, The Amazing Race,
wow.
all the big shows that you could think of here. I've
And was
worked
that
with the two biggest lighting designers. They're Dekar Azulay and Ofer Yacobi, two amazing lighting designers, and very lucky to be working with them.
now, were you working mainly sort of in studio or on location?
When I was with Ulpan Herzliya, I was working mostly in studio. Occasionally, they sent me out to work with a production on location, which was fun, but that was, I would say, maybe 2 times a year during my employment there. I
Amazing.
was technically only a full-time employee of that company until 2013 or
Okay.
2014. I was only really a 2.5 year employee there. And then I became a freelancer, but still actually worked at the studio for them. Like I
Right.
did a lot of my freelancing work at the studio because I knew them and they needed technicians. So it's kind of
Cool.
where I started my career and my freelancing career.
Okay, now there was a stage where you were pretty sort of strapped for cash, found yourself without an apartment or a place to live. Was that after this, before this?
No, that was during this. This was actually at the beginning. I was my bank account that I had saved up for coming here was empty. I didn't have any cash. I was sleeping on floors of people's apartments, and one morning I was asked if I could. One evening I was asked if I could just not stay there that night, and it turned out the reason was because this person was having a companion over,
Oh,
and kicked me off the floor onto the street. And
wow.
it was the end of November, and there was a windstorm, and I was staying on Ben Yehuda, and I was walking around at night trying to figure out where to go, what to do, and I wound up. This is a real big lesson in humility that I learned that night. When I didn't know who to call, I wound up calling somebody at 1:30 in the morning whose apartment I was looking at, whose apartment I looked at to possibly rent, and I knew that I wasn't going to rent it, but I called him up and I I told him my situation and he let me crash that night. I woke up the next morning and I'm walking. So basically I was at like Jabotinsky, Ben Yehuda, and had to walk to Florentine at 1:30 in the morning, and then had to walk back the next day because I didn't have money for a shirut or a taxi or whatever. And I'm walking back the next morning and I'm thinking, this sucks. And do I want to continue? Because it's easy to pick up the phone at that stage when I was still relatively new here and say there's a lot of people I could have called and said, listen, I need a plane ticket home. I failed. I'm sleeping outside. I'm sleeping on floors. I failed. And I didn't pick up the phone because I felt that there was something that would come out of this for me. That struggle sucks, but this struggle could lead to something
Yeah.
if
And
I
you
focus.
learned in the struggles.
Yeah. That's
Amazing.
one of my mantras is like when I think of a bad day at work, I'm just happy I'm not sleeping outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So then you got work at Beit Lessing. That was when you sort of stepped into the theater side of things. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, Bait Lesson was a great company to work for. They not only taught me a lot about theater, but they let me and a lot of other people work there do freelancing work on the side.
Mm.
So I worked for them for 4 years as a full-time employee, and got to learn about the one thing that I would say differentiates theater from
Mhm.
any other medium, even live television, I would say is timing. Uh, I know that live television, I've done a lot of it. I know timing's real important, especially on the big shows like Eurovision.
Right.
But in theater, there are no takes, there are no cuts. You can't do a whoops-a-daisy. It's live. The show, you need to keep going with your lines. If you mess up a lighting cue, you mess up a lighting cue. There's no other angle to cut to.
Right.
Yes.
It's just so different.
It is. I was going to say, was this, I know that you did theater, in at school, but you just worked for several years in the film and TV industry. Now, as an actor, I know that there are different skill sets that are required when you're doing film and TV to when you're working in the theater. So my question is that the same for the sort of technical aspects of things? Is there a difference between film and TV and theater?
Yeah, there's big differences. I could pull out a bunch of books from my library over here that I won't bore you with, but like, let's see, there's Reflections that teaches you about cinematography for, for a real artistic way of doing things. There's the ASC manual that teaches you about that. But I also have I have the Hamilton. I have the Hamilton, the
Have that.
Revolution book
But instead of
from
looking
the
back,
show.
look back at us and say, and so is it
It's different. It's all different, but it's in terms of like, yeah, things are different. But I like going back and forth between the mediums, and when you do it enough, it all becomes relatively the same, because you have an actor, you have a subject, you have a room, and the question is, what are you doing to light it? The stage design, the set designer designs something, and they don't want you with your lighting to mess it up. The purpose of lighting is to help promote the show, is to help not be the story, but help tell the story, to be one of the vehicles, not the vehicle, most of the time. That's not true, although, for live performances. Some live performances, like Mushroom Heads, the Infected Mushrooms. Why can't I remember their name? Yeah, Infected Mushrooms. Very lighting heavy. But it's all about, what is the feeling that you want to give to the audience? Do you want it to, like Disney shows have almost no shadows in them. Watch some studio Disney shows, like Raven, or really any other ones. So, like, one that I worked on, the first one I worked on was Yomni Chofesh Hagadol. There's no shadows in these sets, and how do you do that, and what's the purpose of it? Whereas you can go to a show like Game of Thrones, which is shot cinematically, but still in like an episodic type style.
Yeah.
I like going through all this because I feel like if I'm in one area too much, I'm trapped.
right?
And
Yeah.
being able to transition from film to television to theater to live performances, I really enjoy it because I feel like I'm doing something else.
Mm.
Even though I'm doing relatively the same thing, there's lights, there's a lighting board. It's about sometimes there's no lighting board, it's just lights on stands on film sets. But it's about what you do with the light. Where is it coming from and why? So I like it all. It's all different, but the more you do it, the more you get comfortable with knowing that you're just certain questions you need to ask before you start the process of designing light.
So going on that, I mean, you, in a TED talk that you gave, you said that lighting was one of the most important tools an actor has to convey a visual message to the audience.
Yeah, in my opinion. You can
Yeah.
ask an actor that will tell you no, I'm sure. But like, let's take, for instance, this example. You have an actor who is trying to who has a monologue about a dream. Okay? So let's say you have in this monologue, they're describing what's going on in the dream. You could have set pieces behind them that are illuminated, and you can have light traveling through that, similar to the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime. You could take away the actor, and the way that the light is telling stories across all of those video walls is very interesting. So you could do it this different way, where you could have an actor who's describing their dream, and you can have a solo spot on them, and it's like you're minimizing the stage into like this. Whereas if you have them describing a dream and you've got big set pieces that you can tell a story with, or a video wall, you start opening up the set, and you start taking your audience's eyes and going from like stage right to stage left and upstage, downstage, while you remove the actor from the actual light, from the actual scene itself, even though you're hearing their there's
take away the actor from the scene. Damn it, no.
Well, look at the bullet in Hamilton. Look at the bullet in Hamilton.
Yes.
The bullet was chasing, ever since I'm Not Throwing Away My Shot, that bullet was chasing Hamilton the whole show.
Yeah.
How do you light for that character that doesn't speak, that's subliminally following someone it's going to kill? When Howell Binkley was lighting that, what is aside from all the other light you've got going on, you've got this bullet that is just following him to the end.
Wow. That is amazing.
How do you do that? You got it. Those are things you got to think about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now tell us how you got onto the one thing that stood out for me was what is it called? Captain America. How did that come
That was weird. Like, I was accepted into the Union based off of my work in Israel. I showed documentation and was accepted into the Union. At the time they were shooting Captain America and what is that movie about the Browns? I forget what it's called. They were shooting two really big movies. It was a Kevin Costner movie about the Cleveland Browns shooting at the same time that they were doing Captain America. And I wound up applying to the Union at the time that these two movies were hiring. And while I was in the waiting room for the to sign, not the waiting room, I was in the Secretary Treasurer's office. I was filling out the paperwork. He gets a phone call. I got a flight to Arizona to go see my sister, and I'm thinking to myself, should I tell him I'm in a hurry? I'm thinking, like, should I say something, like try and be polite about it? Like, hey, I'm not trying to be rude. I know you have a phone call, but I've got a flight to catch. And I thought to myself, just shut the hell up. Don't say a damn word. He got off the phone, and the person he talked to was a lighting chief looking for crew for Freezer Burn. And Freezer Burn was the working production title of Captain America, the Winter Soldier. So if I had pissed him off, and he mentioned my name 4 times in that phone call by name.
Wow.
If I had pissed him off in any way, I don't think I would have gotten it. But I'm in Arizona. I'm one day away. I haven't heard anything. I'm one day away from going back to Israel and my job at the Ultimately Chapter. And I get a phone call while I'm at Dollar Tree with my sister's fiance. I think maybe boyfriend at the time. They're married now. Don't remember what it was back then. And I see it's a California number, and I'm just like, holy crap. Someone from Los Angeles is calling my phone. I should probably answer this. It was the key grip. I was hired as a grip for the 2nd unit, and I'm taking down the information of what he's offering me, and he asked, is this good for you? And I'm just like bawling my eyes out. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. And I'm trying to keep my composure. But I say thank you. I hung up the phone. I collapsed on the floor in Dollar Tree, like crying. People are walking past me. No one stops to ask if I'm okay.
That's America for you.
And then I did a really gutsy thing. My father helped me draft an email to Old Peninsula that said, I just got offered Captain America to work for the next month. And I am going to be coming back to Israel, and I look forward to using the skills that I learned on this show at the studio. Thank you.
Nice. Nice.
I didn't,
That's how you do it.
and for a month I did not know if I had a job.
Wow.
They
Wow.
didn't tell me. They just sent me the schedule at that time when I said I would be back. And yeah,
That's a very
so
classy way of not burning your bridges, Neil. Very classy way of doing that.
it's a
So
ballsy move.
the time is really, really going for us. And I just want to say two things.
What's up?
I want to give a shout out, as you said, to the stage TLV, the Tel Aviv Community Theatre, that you are helping them on their production of Rumors by Neil Simon. So I want to give them that shout out for you.
Can I touch on that real quick?
Sure.
Yes. So we started rehearsals in August. They're COVID safe rehearsals. It's been pretty challenging over the past few months, but when you're working with people who want to go through this process and are putting in the effort, it makes it easier. It makes it fun to work with people who want to go through that. The end of May, such beginning of June is when we're going to be putting on the show. We don't have a venue that just yet. We're trying to lock that down, and tickets should be going on sale at mid next month. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. And I know that your ambition is really to move from being a technician into sort of design and production. So we can only say to you that we really hope that that comes true, and that you obviously have the skills and the talent to make that happen. And we are so looking forward to seeing you make that happen for yourself, because it's right there within grasp. So go for it. So hang about for us, Neil, because we're going to bring you back at the end, but I'm going to bring Abram on now. That was amazing.
Thanks,
amazing.
Neil.
So interesting. Thank you so much, Neil. So hang tight for us, and I will bring Abram into Ad Spotlight. Hello.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you
Good.
guys?
So you've had we had an interesting meeting before we met. We met you really well. First of all, let me just say who you are, so people know that you are the producing artistic director of the Wilings, and you are a teaching artist, and we'll go into all of that. Now, we met you just before Corona hit at Center Stage, and we were talking about getting you involved in the whole sort of youth theater program, which we are going to speak to you about anyway. And, you know, then Corona hit and put all those plans aside, and it's unfathomable that a whole year has gone past. But you have not been sitting still during that time, and you have started this incredible project that was born out of the pandemic. And we're going to get into that, but first I want to let people get to know you as well.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you are originally from LA, right?
No, Seattle.
Oh no.
No, I'm from Seattle.
You're from Seattle. You
Um,
went to high school in LA, didn't you?
no, the most I've been in LA was 3 months in the summer. Uh-oh.
Okay. So
Um,
that is kind of like, okay. So
Brother Abraham.
you were from Seattle, which is kind of rainy and
yeah.
right. Now, where was your love of theater nurtured? Because
Oh, well.
we were
Um,
going to university, so
so hard truth is that I have been known in my family to be telling stories and putting on plays since I was about 2 or 3. Um, the family legend is that my sister and we had one of those incredibly unsafe bike trailers, right? You put the kids in the back and it's attached to the bicycle, and it's just like it's a rolling death trap for children. And my dad used to haul us around, and my sister and I would like re-perform the Disney movies that we had just watched that week for each other.
wow.
So I guess since then, um, I would say as a person who considers himself a director or like a maker of plays and less a performer, that I started exploring that side of the table in high school. I lucked out into a high school where the drama club had divorced itself from the drama teacher um, because of shenanigans I don't fully understand. And so we had very minimal oversight and just did a lot of crazy. We did a lot of theater uh, for high school kids with no money. We did 5 nights of one acts a year plus 2 main stages.
Wow.
We did a lot of theater. Uh, so I got to just
Amazing.
really explore acting, performing, stage managing, directing, um, design, and like working with one acts is really how I think, develop a sense of a directing.
Wow.
It's very popular to have people pick a scene out of a play and direct it, and I just like give them a 10-page one act. It's the same length and it actually has a story. Uh,
Absolutely. But then, okay, so then my question is, you went to Northwestern University and you got a BA in radio, television, film, and creative writing.
yes.
Now that's a degree I haven't heard a lot about it, I must say. So this is like, so you had drama club on the one side, then you go into radio, television, and film and creative writing.
Okay. So what ended up happening was that I had decided by the ripe age of 17 and a half that I was not a very good actor, um, for reasons I don't fully understand. Um, and at the same time, I was also running the photography lab in my high school. Like I was mixing the chemicals, I was making sure that we had ordered paper and blah 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 blah. So I said, I'm good at theater storytelling. I'm good at photography and lensing. So I should go study film, right? Like that's clearly the happy medium where there's an actual career. Um, so I went to Northwestern to study radio, television, film, which is how old the department is, that still think that they used to think that radio was a relevant part of their process.
Well, just let me tell you that Grant and I went to university to drama
We
school.
both studied radio.
And we studied radio. We can make sound effects like you have no idea.
Oh, perfect, perfect. So only recently they changed the school from the School of Speech to the School of Communications, right? So like that's
Okay.
I studied film. I have to be honest that the people who study film at a top tier film school who chose to be there on purpose and not because they were like, how do I merge my two interests, are not 100% the people that I fit with. So very quickly, I found myself running back into the open arms of the theater community at Northwestern.
Because while you were studying there, you were actually writing and directing at the same time, right?
Yes. So I produced a super successful play my sophomore year. We made a profit,
Wow.
like an actual
That's
profit.
a big in theater. You made a profit. Wow.
I know, right? I produced a very successful play. I went from there and I directed some children's theater for the award-winning children's theater company on campus. And then my senior year, I was tapped to do what's called the Rock Show, the outdoor show at Northwestern. And I said, I'm going to adapt the Iliad. So that's what I did. I took the Iliad, all 24 books, and I turned it into an hour-long fight show. It was 10 fight choreographies over the course of an hour. We had one light change, which is that the sun set and we turned on torches, like we lit torches. We had a barbecue at the end. We got stopped several times during rehearsals because the campus police would come and ask us what we were doing with all these swords and knives and whatnot. But yeah, so I did that, and it's definitely one of the major turning points in my life as a creative person. It was like learning that I could.
Then you sort of like went in a different direction completely, and you came to study in Israel at the Pardes Institute of Jewish Learning. Did you actually make Aliyah at that time? And what?
So no, so it's all very. So what I ended up doing was I had done the double major in creative writing, and I thought I was going to go to grad school for creative writing. Um, so I came to Israel also on a Masa program, Neil. I was on Wujis and I was living in Jerusalem and I wrote a bunch of poetry and hung out all night, every night at like one of 3 bars that I had decided were my bars in downtown Jerusalem. And I was really loving life. So I said, I need to stay in this country where I'm having so much fun. Uh, so I found out about the Pardes Institute, and I'd actually learned about it. And I finally was like, okay, let's do it. So I went and I did it. I discovered I really liked learning Torah. Uh, I stayed a second year. That's when I made Aliyah. Because I said, I'm going to be here for a while, I guess. Better to be a citizen than to just have I don't know, a student permit, a work permit. And that's where all, I don't know, my troubles begin,
Okay, you
my
thought
socialized healthcare begins.
late, and boy, that okay. But while you were studying, you also returned to the US, and you went there to teach at the Camp Rama in Wisconsin several times. What? How did you get involved with that camp, and why teaching, and where did that come from?
So that all came, my whole life story from the moment I finished the Iliad until now has just been a series of like hitting a rock and falling in the direction it takes me. Right, so I didn't have a post college plan, so I ended up coming to Israel. I didn't have a post Israel plan, so I stayed in Israel. So I was at Pardes. I didn't have a summer job plan, and Jacob Citron, the executive director of Ramah, Wisconsin, came and was recruiting Yahadut studies teachers, Jewish studies teachers. And I said, that sounds like fun. I liked summer camp when I was a kid. So I went and I taught, and I had a lot of fun, and the kids really liked me. And I went another summer and another.
And you didn't teach Yahadut so much as theater while you were there.
So at first I taught only Yahadut, and I tried to sneak in some theater. And then from the second summer on, I was always teaching, if not acting in like actual theater, I was taking theater by way of my Yahadut classes. But yeah, I'm always sneaking in the wrong way. So I entered that camp as a Yahadut teacher and left that camp as the director in residence my last summer.
Okay.
Yeah, but then what happened in 2017 when you went to study, what was it?
Education in theatre.
Education in theatre, the Kibbutzim College, and that
Yes,
brought your two loves of teaching and theatre together, right?
yes. So
That's
I
a
said
technical degree?
that's I just have a teacher certification here. Yeah, so what I realized was I was like, I am clearly gonna return to the world of theater. Um, I haven't been able to quit. I keep falling back into it, so I'm just gonna do it. And I said, but I need a way to actually make actual money. So I said the Ministry of Education, because like I said, right, I don't actually understand what I'm doing at any point. So I went off and I did my teaching certification at the Seminar Kibbutzim, and I teach all ages. I've taught clowning to fourth graders. I've taught devising techniques to 10th graders. Um, I taught toy theater to seventh graders earlier this year. Like
So how was
that's
it?
my day
How do you
job.
find the Israeli kids versus the American camp kids?
Well, I'll be honest, I think that Israeli kids and American camp kids are actually more similar than dissimilar because Israeli kids don't want to be in the classroom at all. And American camp kids are like, I'm in summer camp, why am I in a classroom? Right?
Yeah.
But I find that they're also very similar because in general, I think that the generations these days are very, very similar. They're all waiting. All these kids are just waiting for somebody to like help them realize that there's actually like a whole person inside the little shell they've developed because of factory education.
That's
And part of the fun of being a theater teacher is like that's my job. I just show up and I'm like, hey, tuk tuk tuk. Did you know there's a whole you inside of you? Let's figure out who that is. And when you see the kids who everyone else in school is like, these are the worst kids ever. And then for you, they just make silly jokes and they like, put on a clown nose and run around with a spoon on their head as a hat. You have to say, I don't know what you're talking about. And that for me is like the big win about being a theater teacher.
Wow. Yep. I can relate to that. So I just wanted to I want to come to
the wirelings.
the wirelings, absolutely.
The wirelings.
So that we said was born out of the pandemic, and you say that you want to create meaningful, experimental, and accessible theater under unprecedented circumstances. So, but tell us,
That's a great tagline.
isn't it? So what is the wirelings, and how did it really sort of come about?
So I'll start with the easy question, which is how did it come about? And then I'll go to the hard question, which is what are we? The easy question is I had just had my first fringe play going up and running at Hasimta in Yafo. Things were going great. I was coming back and starting to figure out the next project and figure out like recruiting actors, and then suddenly March. Survey says no, right? Um, so suddenly I went from having a lot of projects beginning to develop to having nothing, and also the project I had running suddenly not existing. Um, and I was very sad and very angry for like 2 whole minutes. And then I looked around and I said, "Well, there's got to be something I can do because I don't want to just sit here feeling like a jerk and a wuss for like the next however long this is going to be."
Yeah.
Right. We can relate to
So
that.
it started by me just like asking in my social group, like, is anybody want to make some sort of play over the internet? Let's see what it can be. And so people signed up, and we did a Greek play of all things. We did Philoctetes. I made a Philoctetes for 4, and we did it, and it was really fun. And we were like, oh look, there's a little form here. So then immediately I said, but let's try it again and see if is there an actual form here, or was it just like everyone was so excited for something. So then we did another play, and we had some more positive feedback. So then I said, well, let's do it again. We did a third play, which was Cobbler, which was like a resounding success. And now we're here on our 4th iteration.
Well, let's just show a little bit of the cobbler while we're here, if we can. So
Okay.
if you don't mind me trying to share this, I'm not going to share a whole lot of it. Whoops, no, that's already skipping forward. Where is the cobbler? Where is the cobbler? Hang on. Let me go forward. Is it? There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, so I'm only going to show like the first part of it. So let's skip into the action if you don't mind. Hold on. There we go.
Jerry.
Yeah, Peach.
Gay.
I know.
I thought I should tell you.
Already knew.
It's my first big announcement.
You have been making it for 7 years. Are you going to Mom's for dinner tomorrow?
I am. And when I get there, I'm going to tell her that I don't have to take her shit anymore because I'm gay.
Mom doesn't give you shit for being gay.
I know.
Mom gives you shit because you're lazy.
I just thought it was a good way to get out of dinner.
She's making your favorite.
Chicken tacos?
Yeah.
I can be straight for one night.
That is great. So, so basically what you've done is you've used, so tell us more about, what is it? You've used the digital platform to create plays. So my question to you is really, and it's something that we've grappled with too, obviously during this time, is what space is digital theater occupying? I mean, it's not exactly live theater, and it's not film or TV, not Netflix. So what space is it occupying, and is there a place for it moving forward?
So first of all, actually, The Wirelings is live theater. The way our shows work is that we invite you all into the call, and then you're literally in the space. We have little control. It's not even a webinar. It's an actual phone call. So if you turn on your camera suddenly in the middle of the show, I can't really do that much. I could remove you, but that's about it. So we actually still we've developed a bunch of rules as an ensemble about the way that we relate to the space within Zoom as if it were the traditional theater space that we all know and love. Right? So instead of a black box that's physically all of us in it, it's a digital black box that we're digitally all in. So that's like the first. I think we have worked really hard to maintain a sense of aliveness in that way. Right? We're running cues. Like Neil said, if you miss a cue, it's gone. Right? Like I can't. If I mess up a cue for them and they keep going with it, then that's it. I gotta keep running the show.
Right.
Which is something that a lot of digital theater that has just been pre-recorded theater doesn't have, and so it loses that like special edge, right? We've also found timing is actually really, really, really difficult. Comic timing over the internet with lag.
Oh yes.
but it's like a cool actor's gym almost. Like my actors end up saying that they've really enjoyed the process because they've learned how to like develop this whole extra skill.
Right.
Mm, mm.
I think with the question of where is it going to go, I think it's here to stay. I think nobody's spent a year of their life, and I'm not the only one, right? Like nobody's been spending a year of their life trying to figure out ways to maximize this new platform of theater to just say, okay, Corona's over. The world will clearly go back to completely normal as it was before, and I will never do this again. Part of what I think is really important, what we're trying to figure out is conversations about accessibility. We talk a lot about accessibility in theater, and it ends up meaning that people make plays that are good for people with autism, right? That's sort of like the extent of accessibility in theater today means like, is it autistic friendly, and can people in wheelchairs come in? That's like kind of it. It's kind of where it stops, right? Whereas a play like this, I can do subtitling really cheaply, right? So I can suddenly make sure that my hard of hearing and deaf people can have an actually pleasant experience with the show. Right? People who can't physically leave their house for whatever reason can still come and experience a live performance. And also, as we've discovered that we really enjoy doing new work, particularly new work that's had a few performances and is no longer fresh off the presses new, but is not, you know, in a in the top 20 most performed plays of high school is 2021,
Right.
which are plays that often if you're not in a center of play development you're never going to see, and so we really see ourselves as now providing an opportunity to really get a fully designed, a fully fledged experience of what this play is, even if you don't live in New York or Chicago or Minneapolis, right? Where like these major North American new play development centers, or in Israel, right, where we like hardly ever get new work from the English speaking world,
Right.
because we're just not a real market. But suddenly now I see that we have this platform that really allows us to make, I think, pretty high quality theatrical opportunities. The problem is that the recordings often are a little extra laggy because then, the processing of the recording is trying to crunch 4 different streams at once.
Well, I'm thinking maybe sort of it's maybe a new style of theater that may kind of take off on its own to sort of a tangent of, I mean, theater is theater and it can't be duplicated digitally, but creating a digital theater is just a new kind of variant strain in our days, we should call it, of theater. But so tell us about the show that's coming up, because that's very important for us to get that information through.
Yes. So we have we're working hard on Gulliver's Travels, the famous Jonathan Swift satire novel. It's been adapted for young audiences. I'm going to put that in quotes because I know it's so cheesy. 2 to 92, but like really, this play is for anybody who can understand the English language and who's at least like 8. Or more, because it's just really fun. It's a kids play in that it's nobody dies, right? Nobody calls each other horrible names that are curse words, right? It's not a kids play in that the conversation is dumbed down or anything like that. It's actually half of it takes place in verse, which is really fun, and it's been a real eye-opening experience on how verse can actually not sound so obvious.
Right.
It's been a real gym for us in that respect. But it starts. We open next week. We open a week from yesterday.
Yesterday. So you've got
And
shows in. I'm going to ask you to put the link to the tickets or information in our chat box once we're through. So it's opening
okay.
March 6th, and you've got 4 dates: the 6th, the 7th, the 13th, and the 14th. At
Yes,
different
ma'am.
times. So you're accommodating sort of all time zones.
People anyway,
And where can they get the tickets? At the wirelings.com?
At thewirelings.com. Yeah, I have everything closed right now, so I can focus all of my computer's processing power on Zoom.
That's okay. I will put that on
So-
our Facebook page, and I'll put that in for anyone who's interested. No problem. So that's amazing, and I love the fact that you're sort of doing something different, experimental, and I wish you all the best of luck with that. And
Thank you.
and may it be another kind of type of art culture that we can put into the basket of theater and film and TV. So now we're coming to the section. Thank you for your time and for your great information. And I'm going to bring Neil back now. And we are going to add Spotlight. Now we have all three of us. Yay!
Oh,
Hey, so now we have the 10 questions, which are based on the Bernard Pivot Marcel Proust questionnaire. And just the first thing that comes to mind, don't elaborate too much. I mean, we will ask you to elaborate if we want to, but it's just the first thing that comes to mind. And it's absolute fun. So go on, take it away.
Yes. Okay. First question will go to Neil.
Neil.
What is your idea of perfect happiness?
Being able to make a living doing what I love while having a stable family home life.
Love it. How about you, Abram?
Abram?
oh, I was gonna say a hot chocolate while I snuggle with my cat. Oh,
That's
Neil,
awesome.
yours is so much more coherent.
I love that. Okay.
Question number 2, back to Neil, I guess. What is your least favorite word?
Whoa. Can't.
Ah,
Can't.
my kind of guy. Abram.
Least favorite word.
Oh man, probably outdoors. I'm an indoor kid.
Okay, you're a theater kid. You put me in a box and I'm fine. I like that. Okay.
I'll bounce
to
question number
Abram.
3 back to Abraham. Yeah. Which person do you most admire?
Oh, that's hard. That's hard to
alive,
have to-
alive or past?
Oh, that makes it even more hard. Be like just only people you've met in the last 5 days. Oh my gosh, somebody who I really admire. I'm sorry to everybody who I really admire who's not this person because shit. Wow, it's so many people. So this is the opposite of a fast answer. Look,
Come on.
I'm being so studio of the actor. I'm just
First one. Come on. First one. You admire a lot of people. We get that. But who's like in your head right now?
okay. It's Artaud,
Okay.
but it's like a hate admire.
That's all right. Neil, what about you?
Mel Brooks.
Hey, yes.
That's a good one.
Very good one.
Abraham, what is your favorite movie of all time?
The Goonies.
The
Neil.
Goonies.
What genre?
Now you're having problems. I can see that.
Oh, you know what? I know which one. Once Upon a Time in America by Sergio Leone. The director's cut. It's 4 hours and 10 minutes.
Oof, okay. I think that would. Oof, okay.
Neil, back to you now. On what occasion do you lie?
On what occasion do I lie?
Yeah.
If my wife asks if I did the dishes and she's not home yet.
Damn, you busted now. Abram, what about you?
When I say that I'm 5 minutes away.
Okay.
Neil, what natural gift would you most like to possess?
Natural gift?
Mhm.
Like supernatural or natural? Like
Both.
Supernatural
Go for it.
counts.
invisibility.
Ah, voyeur, I can see that.
No. I want to be able to sneak into the mental hospitals and talk to the doctors.
And freak them out completely. They're hearing ghosts. Oh my God. I see dead people. Okay.
Abraham, natural
I
gift.
wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. That's all I got. It's 2 at 1. I just want to be taller and play basketball.
All right. Fair enough. Back to you, Abram.
Yes. What is your most treasured possession?
I still have the stuffed animal my mom gave me when I was 2. It's a cow. Her name is Cowie. I even have a tattoo in honor of Cowie. She is for sure my most treasured possession.
I love
Uh,
That's gorgeous.
As a mother, I love that. Sorry.
she just actually went to the stuffed animal hospital when I did not know what was happening. It was done without my consent because I probably would have just panicked all day. So she had 30 years. She's got another 30 to go.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant.
Neil, what about you?
Most
My
treasured
pillow.
possession.
Your
My pillow. I travel with it. I've got a case to travel with it. It's nice and squishy. I've had it for far too long. Yeah. I do wash it.
I was just going to say, do you ever wash it?
I do. And that thing is definitely more than 15 years old. But I do
Wow.
wash it. But I travel with it everywhere around the world. Because here's why. Everywhere I know that anytime I'm traveling to like another country for work or something, I know I'll always have a place to put my head. Airport, floor, doesn't matter.
Good. Well, with what? Yeah, absolutely.
Neil, which word or phrase do you most overuse?
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Abram?
I understand what you mean for sure. Yes.
Ah, yeah.
Abram.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? See what I mean? You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Why? You got this thing that people just don't get you?
I just want to make sure. I just want to be 100% sure that everybody understood me.
I got you. I know. Okay.
Right. Back to
Abram.
Abram.
Mm-hmm.
What do you most value in your friends?
Wow.
Off the top of your head, Abram. Come on.
Boom, boom.
Generosity.
Okay.
Nice.
It's a good one.
Nice.
Neil.
Yeah.
The ability to give me honest criticism, even though I'm not gonna like it.
That's brave.
That's how you know who your true friends are. When they know that they will tell you something you did is crap, and you need to really look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So it's
Final question, guys.
Neil.
Neil. And you'll hear it anyway, Abram, so you can prepare. If you were to die and come back as a person or a thing, who or what would it be?
A sentient computer.
Why, you want to get used and abused, Neil? What is this?
No, I'd figure out how to just do film, theater, and television like until someone erased my memory.
Damn.
I could just make duplicates. I can make duplicates of myself and have someone doing theater in one country, film in another country. I could be everywhere.
Oh, man. You're a scary dude, Neil. Not at all. Not at all. Abram, what about you?
I think a stage ghost.
Oh,
That's awesome.
I think I want to have been that successful that I like have a stage that I definitely like dibs to haunt. Yeah, a stage ghost.
I love
Which
that.
theater
But,
would
like,
you haunt?
A good stage ghost. Oh man. Oh man.
Any
I mean,
stage. Name any stage.
in the whole world.
Whole world. If you could haunt any stage, what stage?
Oh man.
Sorry if I just hijacked this.
No, it's all good, Neil. I love it.
I'm gonna have to give you two answers. I think my North American answer would be the Bagley Wright stage in Seattle because I just grew up seeing so much theater there. And I think my Israel stage that I would love to haunt,
And scare
Oh,
the
man,
shit
it would
out of
be-
Israeli actors. Yes.
yeah, right, the Bima Tef, the little basement stage in the Bima. I know that the Bima is like out right now because they owe everybody so much money, but it's just my favorite stage to see things at. So that's where I'd like to haunt, the Bima Tef.
I love these answers. I
That's
love they were
great.
so
That's
original
great.
and so great and wow. Amazing. Guys, thank you so much
Thanks so
for
much, guys.
giving of your
Yeah.
time and for joining us on Cue, and to the audience with us tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks
I
very
hope
much,
you enjoyed
everybody.
it. I found it completely fascinating. Some really different talents than we've had, and just giving us again the more rounded understanding of the world that we live in. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. And we so look forward to welcoming you physically live to center stage
Yeah.
as soon as possible. And you guys, your home is at center stage. You know that anytime you want to, please come through, do whatever you want, and we will speak. And thank you again.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks, Abraham.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
I just have a quick question.
בהצלחה.
Is there going to be a recording that we can see of this later?
Yes, it goes onto the YouTube channel
We'll
and
be
onto
sending
our
it
website.
straight
so,
to the FBI.
yes. Just to those institutions that you want to come back as a ghost, as invisible ghost, to speak to doctors.
בהצלחה to you all, בהצלחה.
Thank you
תודה,
very
תודה.
much.
תודה רבה.
תודה, תודה.
Thank you guys. Take care.
Have a good week.